Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today our group will discuss contract termination and global supply chain disruption from two perspectives, management and Islamic perspective. A contract is legally and ethically binding agreement between two or more parties that creates rights and obligations for each parties involved. In business, contracts are essential because they provide certainty, protect the interests of all parties, and ensure that transactions are conducted fairly. Supply chains are equally important as they connect suppliers, manufacturers, customers, distributors in delivering goods and services. However, global events such as pandemic, wars, natural disasters, and economic crises can disrupt supply chains, making it difficult for business to fulfill their contractual obligations. These challenges raise important questions regarding contract termination and the appropriate responses from both management and Islamic viewpoints.
Every day, millions of contracts hold our economy together. But when trust breaks, the contract snaps. Contract termination is the official legal ending of an agreement before the parties have fulfilled their duties. There are three paths to this end. First, a breach of contract, where one party fails to perform their duties without a legal excuse. Second, a failure to deliver a goods, which refers to a critical breach where a seller stalls a business by failing to provide the promised item. But termination is not always a battle. The third part is the mutual agreement, where both sides consent to release each other in peace. In Islamic jurisprudence, a contract is sacred covenant. The foundational principle is absolute, which explains that the contract must be honored. It is the fulfillment of amanah by carrying on the trust and promise. By violating a contract through a breach and non-delivery, it breaks the trust, bordering on betrayal and the unjust consumption of wealth. Conversely, Islam highly rewards the ikalah, which is the termination by mutual agreement as an act of the mercy.
So, when we talk about supply chain disruption, there are many reasons that leads to the disruption. And I will explain about three major triggers. First, pandemic. It locked down entire cities and closed factories overnight. Then, we have wars and global conflicts that physically block major shipping routes. And finally, natural disasters like severe floods or earthquakes can completely destroy ports and roads in an instant. About the impact, so the chain reaction is immediate. First, we get heavily delayed production because factories are waiting for parts that never arrive. Second, because of materials are scarce, costs skyrocket, making everyday items much more expensive. Ultimately, this leads to huge customer dissatisfaction. When people can't get what they paid for on time, trust breaks down. That's exactly when companies start looking at their contracts to see how they can legally adapt or get out.
Management is very important to uphold the company's sustainability, and we should agree with that. They say that if a supplier cannot deliver raw material and make a company to face disruption, this surely will lead to a contract termination since the promise cannot be fulfilled. When this happens, the management team, especially those who are Muslim, must not just give up on the work. Instead, the problem must be solved. Just as in a citation of Hadith Muslim, cherish that which give you benefit in the hereafter, seek help from Allah, and do not lose the heart, which do not give up. So what can the management do to address the cost? First, before termination, when we really need the material, we may communicate with the supplier to negotiate some amendment to the contract, and this is to ensure the contract is still suitable with the current solution of the global supply chain. Second one, if there is no help to maintain the contract, which means the contract termination must be done, then we will need to find some alternative suppliers to change the current supply chain to terminate the disruption. Third one, we should analyze the terminated contract to take some lessons from it to reduce operational risk with the potential new contract regarding the global supply chain.
From an Islamic perspective, several important values should guide how we handle contract termination and supply chain disruptions. First is shura, or consultation. Management should discuss the issue with stakeholders and relevant parties before making any decision to terminate a contract. Second is justice. We should not unfairly blame the supplier if the disruption is caused by circumstances beyond their control, such as pandemic, war, or natural disaster. Third is amanah, which means trustworthiness and responsibility. Both parties must fulfill their obligation honestly and communicate any problem transparently. Fourth is ukhuwah, or good relationships. Even during disagreements, professional and respectful relationship should be maintained. And finally, rahmah or compassion. Islam encourages giving the affected party an opportunity to renegotiate terms and find solutions before immediately ending the contract. By applying these Islamic values, organization can manage challenges fairly, responsibly, and ethically.
In conclusions, contract termination occur when supply chain disruptions prevent parties from fulfilling their obligations. Factors such as pandemics, conflicts, and natural disasters can significantly affect business operations and contractual performance. To address these challenges, organizations should practice effective leaderships, communication, risk management, and stakeholder engagement. Most importantly, Islamic management principles such as Shura, Amanah, Justice, Ukhuwah, and Rahmah provide valuable guidance for ethical decision making. By combining these effective management practices with Islamic values, organization can overcome these challenges, maintain trust, and achieve sustainable business success. That's all from us. Thank you.